So guys, what if Naruto started new life and got big harem part 2? He doesn't like this, at all. He had thought when he accepted Yakumo Kurama's invitation, they would have a normal date, with her picking him up and then spending their time together romantically. You know, like the romance novel he had read in the past. And yet, here he is, being tortured by his own assistant before anything can even start. How about this, Naruto-sama? These fabrics was imported from the land of the crescent moon and very soft and cool to the touch. I am pretty sure you won't feel so hot inside the wagon if you wear these. In the middle of his own chamber, Naruto let out a regretful sigh as he can no longer feel his hands that has been spreading to his left and right for so long. He is wearing several layers of high-class silk on his body. And in front of him is Shizune, in her hands, several more kimonos can be seen, each with its own color and flair that make them unique in its own right. He has been doing this for several hours already. Is this how royalty spend their time? Wearing so many silks so they look better in the eyes of the masses? Now, he wore kimono of course, but as a commoner, the layer of silk he wore is 2 to 3 layers at best. Now, on his body alone, Naruto already counted 12 layers, and the inner layer is also kinda heavy, weighing him down and making him feel rather uncomfortable. Shizune, enough, Naruto spoke sharply, and after he did, he wasted no time disrobing everything and let all the expensive silks he wore fall to the floor, leaving him bare except for the last layer of his inner kimono, which is a simple white and sleeveless kimono that merely reach his thigh. And after he took a black obi lay on his feet, Naruto tied it to his waist. Seeing his action and the fact he's only using one layer of kimono, in front of him, Shizune's eyes widen. Naruto-sama, how can you just use one layer of kimono for your date with a daimyo? It might give wrong impression, or are you planning to disrespect Yakumo Kurama from the start? Hearing the words said by Shizune, Naruto's eyes held a tint of uncomfortable. She's not wrong per se. Formally, even commoners would use 3 to 4 layers of kimono before they go out, while those from royalty would wear more than 12 layers. If he wore one layer of kimono on his date with Yakumo Kurama, the new daimyo might think it as him disrespecting him. Guard, send my message to Yakumo-san. In front of Naruto, one of his guards knelt down in silence, waiting for the message that her master will impart and trust her to send to the new female daimyo of Fire Country. Seeing this, Naruto nodded a little. Tell her this. With Yakumo Kurama, he said that, sat on her stage, the new daimyo held nothing but intrigue in her eyes. Around her, her trusty guards also seemed confused after they heard the new message sent by the great Naruto of all people. Hi. Daimyo-sama, alright. Thank you, you're excused. Shuffled her sitting position. Yakumo Kurama covered her mouth with her large sleeve regally. In her eyes, a telltale of confusion can be seen. Naruto Uzumaki, he sent her a message, telling her that he wants to use nothing but a single layer of silk for his clothing, topped by haori. It was not a sign of disrespect, he also said, and for proof, he even let her be the one to choose the clothing among her own collection for him to use on their date. He wants to use her kimono. That sounds so very exciting and positive for her. Naruto Uzumaki, from the word of the street, the boy was a cold and very calculating person, one who never let anyone get too close to his personal space, more so kunoichi or even normal females that can use chakra for everyday use. Forget touching him. Naruto won't even touch a cloth touched by any female, no matter how high class the material is. The fact he's letting her choose kimono from her collection for him to use, it was more than a positive response for her courting later this night. It is a sign that she's allowed to enter his personal space. I am still confused, but I'll spend my time to search for some good kimono for Naruto to use for now. Guards, tell anyone who want to see me that I'll not be available for the time being. Understood. Daimyo-sama regally. Yakumo Kurama shifted her position and stood, and thus, she walked toward her main chamber with a calm gait with each step. Her mind though, still reeling from the fact Naruto of all people wants to use her clothing. It made a smile blossom on her lips and blush to paint her cheeks. Maybe, just maybe, she will be able to call Naruto as hers later this night. The thought alone is enough to make her fasten her steps a little bit. There are still several hours before her appointed time for their date to arrive, but she doesn't want to waste every second of it, not when she will spend several hours of it to apply makeup for herself. Naruto is a perfect being, he will look better than any man in the world even with nothing but a t-shirt. But she is a slightly special mortal, but she's still a mortal nonetheless. She must do everything she can to make her body, face, and everything else looks better in front of such a perfect being like Naruto. For now, let's search for the highest class kimono she can find in her collection for her future husband to use. Hyuga clan compound. That doesn't sound good behind a table. a rather young teen said while putting her lithe hand on her chin. In her narrowed eyes, a glint of calculation can be seen as she stares hard at the messenger that gave her the bad news. The messenger herself looks terrified of the young teen across from her. I am sorry that I gave you such bad news, Hanabi-sama, but I assure you that the news is new and just happened few minutes ago. I didn't waste my time before I told you about it. I see. Then you're excused. Thank you so much, Hanabi Hyuga-sama. The female messenger was quick to flicker off from the room after the young teen told her to go, leaving one still deep in thinking Hyuga behind. Said Hyuga is tapping the table with a small hint of irritation in her eyes. Oni-sama won't like this development, the girl muttered silently as she activated her famous bloodline to check on her sister, Hinata Hyuga's condition in the Forest of Death. The woman is doing fine, so much that she is actually decimating Jonin-level kunoichi left and right without even looking. Seeing this, Hanabi that taking her big sister's place while said sister fighting in the Naruto exam can only exhale a heavy sigh full of regret. She cannot do anything to change the situation. Naruto Uzumaki already made his move, and to any party in the elemental nation, his move is always a checkpoint. You cannot change it no matter what you do. And yes, he held that much power in the world, and now he made his move and accept the Fire Daimyo's date invitation. All parties can only wait for the conclusion of their date. Sure, anyone could go and make it hard for the new Fire Daimyo, but new or not, Daimyo is still a Daimyo, and their power is not to be underestimated. The ones who could be daring enough to sabotage Yakumo Kurama right now are only the other 4 great daimyos. But with the other 4 great daimyos being males and all, they probably won't try such a thing and take a chance of making an enemy out of the new Fire Daimyo. Sadly, it is a check from the Yakumo Kurama's party and will become a checkmate if she somehow succeeds to court Naruto. The chance for such a thing would be very slim, though. Oni-sama, you better take Makoto-sama place as Naruto-sama right-hand woman, cause if not, you won't be able to do anything to change this situation. The young teen muttered to herself, Byakugan deactivated as she no longer wishes to see the situation of her dearest big sister. She can handle herself. First, second, third, and even fourth test, Hinata should be able to handle herself. The real problem will come in the new test where all succeeding contestants will fight against each other and even the people from Naruto's own guards to get the position of his left and right hands. It will be a very hard test for Hinata, no matter how strong she is. In the Forest of Death this is crazy, yeah, you could say it again. Ino and Sakura said to each other while hiding behind a rather large tree, panting very heavily with sweat covering their whole tired body. Survive. That's the theme of the first test of the Naruto exam. For 3 full days, they and the other contestants must survive the harsh condition of the Forest of Death while doing their best to sabotage each other. Trap. Take all of the edible mushrooms for themselves and leave nothing for the others. Even attacking while the other party is asleep. Every plan is plausible and allowed, except for killing blows. A contestant failed the moment they passed out, where the seal on the back of their hand will flare when they did, teleporting them out from the forest and to the hospital almost instantly. The seal was made by the genius of sealing jutsu, Jiraiya. I think we should look for a cave to hide. After all, in no time the sun will set. Sakura Haruno said calmly, which got her a nod from her best friend, Ino Yamanaka. Teaming up is not forbidden, it actually means they have a good head on their shoulders and can work with each other in a dangerous situation. Like the statement above, every single plan is plausible. Then I'll check our surrounding. Please guard my body as I do so, Sakura. I will. With that statement from her friend, Ino Yamanaka knelt down and went into her clan pose before she used her clan's famed jutsu. And with that, Ino's body fell backward into the tree's stump as her spirit flew off from her body. The test is just starting, with Naruto once again sitting on the rooftop of his mansion and surrounded by Shizune and his guards. Naruto calmly eats some snacks while marveling at the sight of several explosions that happened in the Forest of Death. Those Jonin kunoichi, they're really going at it, it seems. Survive. In the first test, the contestants' every single survival ability will be tested, from their durability, their power, their awareness of danger, and even their knowledge of edible and non-edible plants. Those who lack even one of them will be most likely to fail. In this first test alone, more than half contestants probably will fail because they also must eliminate each other so the remaining contestants will have enough plants to eat. A very effective test, Naruto thought to himself. He might not like the fact that the previous him was a tyrant in this world, but nonetheless, he cannot disagree that Naruto who made such a test is definitely a genius and knew what he was doing. And yeah, he also doesn't mind thinking like this because he is also Naruto, so when he complimented previous Naruto, he actually also complimented himself. Naruto is a genius, he just can't deny that single fact. Shizune, can you get my novel? I'd like to write something. The first of his ICHA series is yet to complete and still needs around 30% more words or so before he can release it to the world. Of course, ever since what Shizune did to him when he first wrote the book, Naruto rarely let her or the others read it when he was writing, as no matter how pleasurable it was to get assaulted by such a beautiful woman, he doesn't want them to do so when he was being serious. It just feels wrong, though maybe it was just his embarrassment talking. Naruto-sama, while I have no right to order you around, as your assistant, I heavily suggest you to go to your study room if you want to write. I, for one, wouldn't want your heavenly skin to be scorched under the sunlight for too long. Heavenly skin. What the hell is that? And what does Shizune mean by sunlight now? With the time almost afternoon, the sun isn't that high and soon will set, it is cool and calm at the moment, and yet she's afraid to see him sitting for too long under the sunlight? But still, a small and cute smile blossomed on Naruto's lips as his cheeks painted pink, feeling happy and warm at her worries for his well-being. The women in this world might worry after him too much and coddle after him like no other, but in the end, he won't be angry. He is happy. Oh, okay then Shizune, though would you mind making me a cup of tea? The cup you made last time is really nice. Of course, Naruto-sama, if that's what you wish for. Popped a few of his bones nicely, Naruto stood from his previous position, eyes staring at the forest of death for several more minutes before, in the end, he nodded to himself and turned around. He is not a ninja. Why? Even his biography didn't tell him anything. For all intent, this world Naruto did graduate from the Ninja Academy with ease, and yet Naruto doesn't have an answer to his question. Nonetheless, he needs to do this one step at a time, ninja or not. He is currently someone sitting in a very high position. His every movement and action would have their consequence if he's not being careful enough. He doesn't want to know about what happened to the previous fire daimyo and his family, not at all. Naruto-sama, the kimono from the daimyo has arrived. So fast. And here he wanted to write a few paragraphs for his novel. Oh well, an hour or so later, Naruto came out of his chamber with a noble white shirt and sleeveless kimono with a golden dragon marking on the chest, followed by a simple black hakama for the bottom. The pair might not like much, but these clothes are really soft to the touch and not hot to use. You look perfect. Naruto-sama, you look perfect. Naruto-sama. You look perfect. Naruto-sama. Several guards outside the door said immediately the moment they see him, not even wasting a single second to compliment him, and of course, hearing such a thing, Naruto's cheeks bloom with pink almost immediately. Behind him, Shizune was ogling him without any shame whatsoever. Thanks everyone. Anyway, when will Yakumo-san pick me up, Shizune? Embarrassed and seldom complimented back in his previous world, Naruto can only cough into his palm as he tries to side away from the compliments given to him. Yes, he is rather shy about it, probably in half an hour or so. Naruto-sama, though, how many guards are you planning to bring with you on your date? Fortunately, Shizune doesn't take notice of his shyness, or even if she did, doesn't seem intent to comment on it. Though, hearing her question, Naruto tilts his head slightly, rather confused. Want Yakumo-san bring her samurai to be our guards though? Of course, she will, Naruto-sama, but you can't never be too careful when it comes to your own safety. That's kinda true, but to bring guards when it should be a date between him and a woman who loves him, it just sounds kind of strange no matter how many times he thinks about it. Plus, Yakumo probably will bring her own samurai guards. The guards of Fire Daimyo, if that's not enough to guarantee his safety, then Naruto wouldn't know what. So, then let's not bring any for today with Yakumo Kurama. Using her highest class kimonos and 20 layers of it, Yakumo Kurama sat regally within the confinement of her large wagon. Her eyes are closed behind her face cover, trying and failing to calm down her heavily beating heart. And then, she felt it as her wagon being lowered, a sign of them already arrived. So fast, the door then opened, and one of her samurais is quick to kneel down in nothing but reverence in front of the door. Daimyo-sama, we have arrived. Curtly, Yakumo Kurama nodded and slowly walked out of her wagon to greet her soon-to-be husband. Today, she must do more than her best to court Naruto Uzumaki. If she failed, well, failure is not an option. She will kidnap him, and force him against his will to be her husband if that's what she must do to gain his compliance. If that plan also failed, well, she would rather kill herself. After all, what life without Naruto Uzumaki by her side? But all of her negativity, her pessimistic thinking, all of it disappeared the moment she lay her eyes on him, standing in front of his grand mansion with a small smile on his face. Just as he promised, He is wearing her kimono that is wrapped snugly against his perfect body and shows the perfect amount of his perfect skin on his neck and shoulders, though, for some reason, he is yet to use the haori she gave him. Probably because the day is not that cold yet. Nonetheless, when she lay her eyes on him, only one thing crossed her usually dark and cold mind. Perfect. Behind him, two women regarding him with slightly strange glares toward her. What? Why are they glaring at her? She got her answer when Naruto himself ran toward her direction and took her right hand, and with a strange impatience in his voice, he said something to her. Come on. Yakumo-san, let's get out of here before Shizune forces some guards to follow me. His words were followed by a small titter, though not really catching up to what he said. Yakumo can only stare at him blankly, watching his smile that makes her tummy flutter happily. Over her sleeve, she can feel the warmth that is his hand. Once they took their seat, Yakumo's heart began to calm down as her eyes stares at the boy sitting across from her that looking at the outside, still with a small smile on his lips. She just finished digesting his previous words. He is not bringing his guards. Isn't that just a plain sign of his full trust in her? But still, my name is Yakumo Kurama, the new fire daimyo of Fire Country. It is to my happiness that you accepted my invitation within such a short notice, Naruto-sama. After she said this, Yakumo gently kneels down and take his right hand into her palms, then kissed it politely. Her heavy attire made it rather hard to do, but knowing her uncomfortable feeling is of small importance compared to her formal greeting toward the boy sitting across from her, she did it without any complaint. And right after she kissed his palm, a soft, polite smile blossomed on her face. I hope you'll enjoy today's date with me and may we part way with happiness in our hearts. With Naruto, when Naruto saw Yakumo Kurama walk off of her wagon, he felt something strange and familiar aura coming from her. Clad in so many layers of crimson kimono, Naruto is not able to see her figure hidden under her layer after layer of kimono. The only thing he took notice of is the pair of rather tall Geta sandals she wears, which made her stand taller than a normal female human simply because the lower kimono of hers has a small slit that shows him her feet and a little bit of her legs. Not only that, she is also covering her head with crimson silk, something which makes him cannot see her face except for her red, shiny lips. In simpler terms, the only skin he can see from this Yakumo Kurama is nothing but her lips to the upper part of her neck, while the rest was covered by her clothing. Unlike him, she really looks like a noble, but still. That looks so much hot and uncomfortable, something that would have made him sweat if not for him that sense a glare of hatred toward Yakumo from Shizune and the strongest of his guards. Not going to lie, while it was really sweet of them to be worried for his well-being, glaring at the daimyo of their country is still a big no, no matter what. Yeah. Yakumo usurped the position and all, but you got the gist. Ran toward the new daimyo. Naruto took her hand and pulled her toward her wagon, smiling slightly at her, hoping that he won't be seen as rude for doing such a thing. Come on. Yakumo-san, let's get out of here before Shizune forces some guards to follow me. Whether the woman hears him or not, Naruto doesn't know because he cannot see her face behind her veil, nor does the woman in question give him any gesture in response to his words. Nonetheless, she doesn't seem to refuse his action as she let him lead her toward her wagon. Strange. That's what Naruto thought after several minutes passed without Yakumo Kurama saying anything to him and seemingly consenting by staring at him from behind her crimson veil. Something that really made him feel slightly self-conscious and led him to stare at the Konoha outside with a nervous smile on his lips. What should he do now? Fortunately, he didn't need to wait for much longer, because just as he thought that, the female daimyo broke the ice surrounding them. My name is Yakumo Kurama, the new fire daimyo of Fire Country. It is to my happiness that you accepted my invitation within such a short notice, Naruto-sama. Her voice is cold, emotionless, and yet with a tint of wanting. And hearing such a thing, Naruto smiled softly toward her, for now ignoring her strangeness and the familiar aura he sensed from her. For all intent, she was probably just nervous now that she met him. Before he can answer her sentence, Yakumo Kurama already knelt down and took his right hand, then politely kissed the back of the said hand with her red rosy lips, leaving a lipstick marking on it. Embarrassed. A blush bloomed on Naruto's cheeks. I hope you'll enjoy today's date with me and may we part way with happiness in our hearts. Why yeah, it is my pleasure to meet you too, Yakumo-san. Not really liking and familiar with such fancy words, Naruto can only shudder when he said his words, hoping what he said wasn't a bad choice or worse, the wrong sentence to answer the woman in front of him. Fortunately, the woman doesn't feel offended at this and merely lets out a small, mysterious smile on her lips as she returned to her seat, where she continues her staring. 3 seconds after he is staring at her, the woman's smile disappeared as she straightened her sleeve and covered her mouth with it. I am sorry if my ugliness makes you uncomfortable, Naruto-sama. What? He was just staring for about 3 seconds, and that's what her mind concluded. It seems even with everything she has done, her mind is still just like the other women he met in this world. Insecure toward themselves when it comes to him. It's alright. I actually staring because I thought your makeup and attire seems nicely done. Naruto said quickly, giving the woman across from him a white lie. And yeah, her attire, makeup, and even her fragrant perfume are nicely done, but he actually staring at her because he wanted to. After all, what kind of date when the people on said date don't stare at each other, right? Ufufu, is that so? It eases my heart and makes me really happy if you think so. As a telltale of happiness creep into Yakumo's voice, Naruto nodded inwardly. She must have spent hour after hour getting everything ready, unlike him who finished his attire in less than half an hour. Now that he thinks again, he is pretty rude, huh? Using 1 layer of kimono and all. Oh well, I do think so. So, what's the plan for today, Yakumo-san? Hearing his question, Yakumo Kurama lowered her sleeve slightly, which let him see her mysterious smile once again. For now, let's have a dinner with? Is it really alright to leave our master in her hands? Of course, not. Follow them. I want you to keep your eyes peeled for anything that may harm him. But, his order, I'll take the punishment if he somehow took notice of your presence. And thus, here she is, kneeling on top of the rooftop while staring at the slowly moving wagon with nothing but focus in her eyes. Behind her, several of her sisters doing the same. Girls, spread out. Make sure to keep yourself well hidden. We will not let even a single strand of Naruto-sama hair got hurt this time. Understood as one. The elite guards of Naruto answered her sentence, and hearing this, she, the strongest among them, nodded to herself. Move like ghosts. Everyone began to disappear one by one, until she alone is left kneeling on that particular rooftop. All the while, her eyes never left the slow-moving wagon. She will protect him, that's her oath as his guard. A dinner. Sat in the VIP seat of the most extravagant restaurant in Konoha. Naruto is eating with as much politeness as he can muster. Basically, said? None. These foods are so delicious. In front of him, Yakumo Kurama, the new fire daimyo, is still watching him with a mysterious smile on her red lips. Now, she's hot and all. The fact she was covering her whole body and calling herself ugly alone made sure he knows that she should be beautiful in his eyes. But still, beauty or not, being stared at for a whole hour is slowly making him feel self-conscious. Why, Yakumo-san? Are you not going to eat your food? Naruto asked, trying to be polite about it. And to answer his question, the woman across from him merely widens her smile that she quickly hides behind her wide sleeve. She's so ladylike in his eyes. I will, Naruto-sama. I am just mesmerized by your face that I lost my desire to eat for a second. Honesty as clear as a glass came out from her lips. And hearing this, Naruto can't help but blush and scratched his cheek a few times, embarrassed and nervous. Of course, he also doesn't know what to say to answer such a sentence. Oh, wait, well, you should eat it before it's cold, and please tone it down with sama suffix. I heard you want to see court me. So, why don't you start by calling me by name? Whether what he said is the right thing to do, Naruto doesn't know. But he became worried as the regal woman across from him turned silent for a few minutes, though she broke the silence with a nod after said minutes passed harmlessly. Her hand, still clad in her sleeve, went and hovered above the plate of her food, hiding its sight from him. Wait, what? I am done here, Naruto. How about you? Have you comfortable enough to continue our night? As the woman pulled her sleeved hand away from the plate, followed by her words, Naruto can only turn silent and blinked a few times in confusion. The plate is clean. What's that? Why yeah, I have nodded. Naruto let out a small smile toward Yakumo, not going to ask as it could be rude in her eyes, and heard his words. The woman stood first, then walked to his side, offering her sleeve-covered palm to him. Grateful for the romantic gesture, Naruto shyly took her palm and followed suit. And thus, they walked out of the restaurant. The night is still young. Later he sensed them, sat in the inside of the fire daimyo's wagon once again. Naruto stared outside while letting out a small hum of curiosity. Those silent presences on the roof, his guards. I am glad to see you're enjoying our walk, Naruto. Yakumo Kurama said from across from him after she heard him humming, thinking it as him enjoying their time together, and realized this. Naruto let out a small polite smile. He already asked her, and from what she said, after their dinner, the next plan would be a ride inside the wagon under the moonlight. It would be better if they were walking, if he can be honest. More romantic too, but guess the daimyo and someone like him cannot be seen by the masses doing something as common as walking. A con for his situation, as he actually would like to walk together with Yakumo, just the two of them. Why yeah, I am really enjoying this. No, not really, but he can't say it right to that smiling face of Yakumo's. For all intent, she's really happy to do something like this with him, so, at the very least, he cannot say he doesn't like the activity as it could make the woman upset. The weight of his words here is very heavy, he must take care not to say something wrong. Good, if it's not a problem for you, why don't you come here? I promise I won't do anything that would make you uncomfortable. Gently, the woman spread her legs and patted the shirt in the middle of it, and Naruto, seeing the gesture, blushed lightly. From this distance alone, he can already smell her overpowering smell of perfume. Can he really take it from a closer distance? But that smile of hers, geez, he just can't refuse, can he? Then please excuse me shyly. Naruto stood from his position and sat in the middle of Yakumo's shirt, between her long legs, facing the same direction as hers, and right after he did, her legs gently raised and captured his lower half with the softness of high-class silk. At the same time, her right hand wrapped itself around her waist and pulled him much closer to her body, where she then put her chin on top of his head. Though not really finding any problem with this action, Naruto's two hands gently clutched her sleeve while he leans his back at her soft body. Though, Yakumo's body is kinda cold for some reason. Yakumo-san, why don't you tell me about yourself? After all, I really want to know your reason for wanting to court me. Sure. I guess that would also make us a bit closer, Why yeah, nodded. Naruto shuddered a little as the daimyo wrapped her previously free hand against his body, effectively trapping him within her embrace. I guess it would. Then, I guess I'll start with the day where I wish to become a ninja for the great Konohagakure no Sato. Oh, her words are bitter, but as she already started, Naruto can do nothing but hear her out as Yakumo began to explain her whole life story for him, bare for him to discern how he saw fit. It was saddening. If Hinata's story had been upsetting, then Yakumo's story is definitely puke-inducing. The previous Hokage, Hiruzen, tried to seal Yakumo's power after no teachers succeed to teach her anything chakra-related. They have no right to do such a thing. I am sorry to hear that happen to you, Yakumo, Naruto said as he turned his position so he can face her, and once he did, he wraps his arms around her neck and put his face on her nape where he can inhale her mature, yet the rather overbearing scent of perfume. Behind him, Yakumo's arms locked together as she returned his small hug, all the while, she's letting out a small hum. It is of no problem, I killed the third Hokage. In the end, he got what he signed for. The woman said simply as if she were talking about the weather. And Naruto himself, cannot be seen by her eyes, held a small sad look on his face for a small second. This world's Hiruzen might not be his grandfather figure, but to hear the man was killed is still rather upsetting. That old man deserved it, though, he just can't say anything to oppose that. Why yeah, he did. The two then spent their time in that position, hugging each other. But after several more minutes of hugging, Naruto broke their hugs with a very red blush on his cheeks, feeling very embarrassed as he returns to his previous position where he faces the same direction as Yakumo as he's sitting on her lap. His heart beating fast for some strange reason, and not only that, but his body also feels kinda sluggish. What's happening? You're so adorable. Again, Yakumo Kurama wraps her arm around his chest from behind, though this time, said arm not only locking his position but also his arms that now cannot be moved. SSH, don't be afraid with the gentleness of a lover. Yakumo's other arm slung around his neck as her sleeved palm lovingly touched every inch of his face, forcing him to smell the overpowering scent of her perfume that stabbed his nostril. He cannot move. To speak alone is already pretty hard for him. But still, despite this, Naruto is trying his best to keep his cool to calm down his frantically beating heart. What did you do? Every word's making his body feel even more sluggish, but Naruto still forced those words to come out of his mouth, and after he did, his eyes feel blurry and his face became unhealthy red. At the same time, his breath became ragged as if he just ran around Konoha several times. More like from shock than anything else, Yakumo Kurama let out a small laugh here. Foo. You're still able to talk even now, as expected of my soon-to-be husband. Her words are warm, loving, gentle, and yet, with so much desire hidden behind all of these as she leaned her face and whispered those words right to his ear. As for your answer, it's simple really. I just mixed my perfume with a heavy dose of aphrodisiac. I was planning to use this to capture you just in case you reject me again honestly, but seeing we had a great time together, I am pretty sure you will accept my hand in marriage now. Inside Yakumo's embrace, Naruto widens his eyes, shocked that Yakumo was planning to kidnap him if he rejected her. But then, why? Why would she do this to him if she knew he was having a great time with her, which equals to a very low chance of him rejecting her? It doesn't make any sense. Good, you're no longer struggling now. Then let's do our first night now. As gently as she could, Yakumo pushed down his body to the sofa with him. Cannot do anything as she doing this, too weak and sluggish to make any difference. Thus, a few seconds later Naruto lay on the sofa facing upward while Yakumo herself above him, smiling beautifully with a pair of rosy cheeks as she sat on his waist. She's so beautiful, but still, why Yakumo, there's something that I need to say. After he forced that off his throat, Naruto was greeted by Yakumo that turned silent for a few seconds, pretty much shocked that he was still able to talk despite the heavy amount of aphrodisiac he inhaled, where most people would have turned into a blushing and panting mess by now. But then, she let out a knowing smile, as expected from you, Naruto, but I guess I'll hear you out for now, considering I am now your fiancé. Her smile is a kind one as she leaned down her whole body and pressed it into his smaller frame, caging him in another prison of softness as he can no longer move his body. Her face is on his cheek after she did this, giving said cheek kisses of nothing but love and desire. Naruto can only let out a small mewl as she doing this, his breath gets a little bit more frantic after the woman presses all of the weight of her sexy body on him. And the kisses, her perfume smells nice, her breath smells nice, and if not for him that need to say something to her, Naruto would gladly let Yakumo devour his mouth using those sexy lips of hers while her hands harassing his body. If you want to be my fiancé, I have one requirement, and this is non-negotiable. Honestly, Naruto feels kinda fortunate because of the drug he inhaled, considering without it, he probably won't be able to say that without being a nervous and blushing mess. But since the drug already made him blush, well, you know what he means. No need for a poker face here, of course my dear, tell me what you want, wealth, power, armies of samurai, I'll give you anything, whatever it is. Dark and evil chakra emitted from the woman's body as she said those words possessively after she presses her forehead against his, smiling happily as she hovers her lips a centimeter away from his lips. Unbothered by this, mostly because of his currently hot and needy body, Naruto's eyes turn half-lidded as he stares at the woman with nothing but calmness. And as calmly as possible, he then said it, And right after Naruto said his words, everything disappears. The pressure, the darkness, and even the desire that previously emit from Yakumo like tidal waves disappears completely right after she heard his words. In their place, Yakumo can do nothing but become silent. Speechless, no word can describe her current state better than that single word. And as this happens, Naruto merely keeps his own silent despite his raging heartbeat and tomato-red cheeks. Later late at night, a regal wagon can be seen stopping in front of a huge mansion of Naruto, and stood in front of the entrance of said mansion are dozens of guards who already make two lines on the left and right side to greet their lord. Despite the time, they still look prime and proper. And then, the wagon door opened, "Welcome home, Naruto-sama." All of the guards said at the same time as Naruto himself stepped out from the wagon of the daimyo with a polite smile on his face. Seeing this, Naruto's smile becomes larger with a hint of blush painting his cheeks. Then, he turned around and watches as Yakumo Kurama gave him a small polite nod which he returned with his own nod. And after this, she closed the door, the wagon was carried off with that, leaving Naruto who merely watch all of this happen. I want you to know that I will marry other women in the future. A harem, that was his requirement to Yakumo if she really want to become his fiancée and future wife, of course. The daimyo was so shocked that she had spent her hours thinking and thinking without any answer to give. In the end, she didn't give him any and merely return him to his house. Then again, it must be a hard pill to swallow, so, he understood why she was hesitating. For now, let's not think about it. He inhaled a large amount of aphrodisiac, and despite the hours past, his legs still feel like a pair of jellies if he can be honest. Shizune, Naruto whispered a name as he feels a familiar presence walking to his side. Yes, Naruto-sama? Is there something you need from me? The black-haired woman said while bowing low beside him, and after Naruto turned his body around, he let her see his real condition. Uneven breath, red face, Naruto-sama, can you take me to my bed? My legs feel so heavy. For a small second, Naruto tumbled, of course, before he can fall. Shizune was quick to catch him in her embrace with a pair of narrow eyes, her hands possessively holding into his body while glaring at the direction the new fire daimyo went to. Did she do anything inappropriate to you, Naruto-sama? The woman asked with worry in her tone, considering her words and also because she's a ninja medic, Shizune must be realized what kind of drug did he inhale, Naruto concluded inwardly. Oh, Better calm her down before she decides to rally his guards to attack Yakumo. Just some aphrodisiac TT Ibeo, I am alright, but, my head's kinda hurting, please get me to my bed. This Shizune shall comply. Naruto-sama, albeit hesitant to leave Yakumo Kurama to her own device after what she did, Shizune in the end let out a large sigh as she took Naruto's body in her arms and start carrying him bridal style. She still decides that he won't get any more assault, though. Strengthen the perimeter around the mansion. The guards complied without any word, disappearing completely into the darkness as all of them went to their post. Nodded, Shizune soon walked to the mansion with her master in her arms. When Naruto walked out of the bathroom with his sleeping wear, he exhaled a rather shaken sigh. He had a cold bath just now, and the heat on his groin and the pink haze in his mind is yet to dissipate, both still making him feel lustful and bothered. No wonder some men in his previous world became perverts like Jiraiya. This pleasant feeling of lust, it's not something anyone could easily dissipate no matter what you do. Then again, he's in a world where he is the lustful target of all women, so lust would be something he cannot run from as long as he lives here. And he would choose this world over his without a second thought. Because here, he is wanted. Guard? Yes, Naruto-sama. As he took the seat on his bed, Naruto called one of his guards. And as a woman with a fox mask appeared and kneeled on one knee, Naruto became silent for a few seconds. Her presence alone brought a wave of a nice scent of grape and jasmine to his nostril, something that made his male member stand under the sleeping yukata he wears. And no, it's not Shizune's. Can you please tell me what is the use of aphrodisiac in real life? The books I read few weeks ago didn't tell me about it at all. Smut, romance, even normal novels he read since his coming to this world never poked any information about aphrodisiacs, period. And yet Yakumo didn't look like someone who feel bad after what she did. Whether in his world the use of an aphrodisiac to an unwilling person is basically sexual harassment and can put the assaulter into jail. Aphrodisiac is a drug used in some perfume creation, Naruto-sama. Those perfumes usually used by married people before they have sex so their bodies feel less pain when they're doing the deed. So, it's not illegal. The drug is actually one of the main components in this world's perfume creation? Well, now that he thinks again, with how painful the book said about sex here, he can actually understand why most people would treat aphrodisiacs as something legal and not dangerous. Once someone in this world inhales an aphrodisiac, their body will start to get the itch that can only be scratched by doing sex or something similar to it. It is an everyday item for people here. I see. Thank you very much. Is there anything you want as a reward? Naruto said calmly despite his still angrily beating heart. To normal people here, aphrodisiac is a normal item that would let their body feel pleasant and itchy, whether the effect on their mind is probably nihil, considering they have no lust or libido to be amplified. But for him who came from another world, oh shit, his body might have a small resistance to the drug because he has some experience with the strange mushrooms that grew in the forest of death. But his mind? Double oh shit, to be able to talk with you alone as a reward for me, Naruto-sama, you don't need to give me another one. The woman in front of him said curtly and professionally, answering his previous question toward her and at the same time broke Naruto from his trance as his attention returned to her once again. Ah, so professional, but, are you really sure? Naruto asked once again, this time with red blush on his cheeks, too hesitant and embarrassed to let this woman know that his body is currently in dire need of some special attention. What is this situation called back in his world again? Tsunere. Yeah, he's being a Tsunere right now, Shizune. She went out after she placed him on his bed, saying that she also needs to secure the perimeter so he can sleep without any other interruption for today. But how can he sleep with this boner of his? It's uncomfortable, you know. I see. The female guard in front of him muttered under her breath after her red ruby eyes went to his face and read his expression like a book. And then, desire completely take over as all professionality and politeness left her eyes. Seeing this, Naruto shivered a little, though, at the same time, excitement started to build up in his chest. Then Naruto-sama, may I have a taste of your neck? Sure. Neck? That's new, is what crossed Naruto's mind after he heard his guard's request, but still, his body is too needy at the moment and his mind is filled with nothing but a pink haze. Thus, he approved her request. For now, he's just gonna hope whatever this guard going to do to his body won't be so mind-blowing like what Shizune did to his ears. His current body and mind are just too sensitive at the moment, after all. Tomorrow Naruto woke up feeling sore all over his body, especially the area of his nape where his guard had thoroughly bitten every single inch of last night. She also did it while pushing down her body against him and rubbing her soft thigh against his groin, an action which actually made him came several times. Well, at the very least, she stopped when the effect of aphrodisiac on him became weary. Last night, he was basically drunk on aphrodisiac, and his reward for the guard was merely a drunkard request. Simply said, he didn't think it through before he made her request a rather ecchi reward, but now already clear-headed, Naruto can only do an inhale and exhale exercise to calm himself down. Let's just hope there's no strange backlash for what he did. Naruto-sama, this is Shizune, have you wake up? Yes, I have. The black-haired woman entered right after she heard his words. For a few seconds, she paused, seeing his groggy state, sleepy eyes, and loosened yukata cladding his lithe body, and Naruto doesn't need any special power to notice the desire that burns behind those professional-looking eyes of hers. She's getting lustful just from seeing his morning state. Exhale. I am sorry for staring, Naruto-sama, though maybe because she has been living with him for years. Shizune was quick to calm herself and tune down her libido before she makes a mistake that she probably won't regret, but must be paid for with her life. Naruto himself merely nodded as Shizune lowered her head and apologized, actually really liked it when she was staring at him with such desire and wanton in her eyes, though not that he was going to say that, knowing how Naruto in this world attitude toward the people, mostly those from the female population. It's okay, so, is there anything you want to tell me? Naruto asked as he went to the side of the very huge bed so he can fully turn his attention toward Shizune. Here, Shizune nodded. Yes, Naruto-sama. The guards have found the track of the woman who killed several contestants a few days ago, and just as we thought, she's also a contestant. Her name is F. Fuka. I already knew that. Shizune spreading his hands like how a cat would. Naruto let out a very large yawn that he didn't even bother to cover, mostly because he's just too uncaring about politeness whatsoever now that he knows he can just ignore all of those. No, he's not a rude person, people who knew him could attest to that, but everything else like polite and regal things royals had to do. Meh, no thank you. Why, you already know about that, Naruto-sama. For some reason, the moment Naruto's closed eyes opened and went to Shizune, the woman looked startled and pretty much shocked by what he said. What's so strange about it now? Yeah, I did investigate it 2 days ago, right? It wasn't that hard to reach the truth once you heard all the words spreading on the street about red-haired woman who looked very suspicious and a strange aura around her. It was a pretty shortened version of everything that he heard, but Shizune probably understood what he said even if he didn't tell her the whole story. His ears are sharper than most people's since he was born, and while at first, it was really hurtful to hear so many whispers of people who called him a demon behind his back in his world, in the end, he chose to sharpen his natural talent for information gathering. And now, in this world, he can use said talent to gather information whispered by the people. I am very sorry Naruto-sama, I was useless, to think you would have to solve it before me, I feel terrible after I failed you so much so, please, punish me as you see fit. When Shizune knelt down on all four and her forehead touched the cold floor, Naruto became speechless for a few seconds before he in the end merely shook his head and walked in the direction of the bathroom. Then keep kneeling like that until I finish my bath, after that, do the usual. Dry his body with a towel, dress him in his clothes. And then follow him as he does whatever he likes. Those three is the main job that Shizune had to do every single day, something that would have made every single man back in his world's faces become green with envies. Here, it was a blessing to any woman. Why yes, Naruto-sama. I won't repeat my mistake once more. Thank you for giving me another chance. Another chance? What another chance? He was just telling her about the murderer, Fuka, and nothing else, and yet. Naruto rolled his eyes here. Let's just not think too much about it and just let Shizune think whatever she likes for now because, at the moment, his body is still sore after the activity he did last night, and he wants nothing but a fresh bath. Naruto-sama, may I ask a question? Just a minute after Naruto finished his breakfast, Shizune said that from his right while bowing lightly to ask for his permission. Blinked a few times, Naruto nodded, sure. What do you want to ask, Shizune? Did you accept Yakumo-san's hand in marriage? Here, Naruto turned silent for a few minutes, actually already expected such question from her. Shizune was pretty protective last night, as though she knew that there is no way Yakumo Kurama of all people would like to get his hand in marriage without any backup plan whatsoever. So, the fact here he is, home and sound after the daimyo in question drove him home must be triggered some alarms in her head. Well, I gave her a last requirement for her to get my hand in marriage, she's yet to tell me her answer. For a bit, Shizune nodded, her eyes closed as if she was happy that the worst scenario didn't happen at all, but still. She's rather curious about the requirement her master gave to the new daimyo that made the woman think thrice about, despite the prize. Surely there is nothing the women in this world refuse to do if it meant a hand in marriage with Naruto Uzumaki, right? Alas, she merely asked a permission for one question, so she has no right to get another question despite she really wants to know just what is the requirement her lord Naruto want from a woman who want to marry him. As Shizune became silent, Naruto let out a small smile. Her curiosity can be seen from that face of hers alone, and after what he said to her, he's pretty sure that he knows what question currently floating in that mind of her. I told her that I want a harem. Deep in the library, Naruto is humming in thought as he reading a book about the ninja in this world, and just like usual, circling around him is masked kunoichis who vowed to guard him with their body and soul. His private guards, anyway, just like Yakumo Kurama. Shizune became silent the moment she heard his words, and in her eyes, expression he cannot decipher danced with complexity. Why? He doesn't really know if he can be honest. Sure, since this world lack lust, it also means men and women marry each other because of nothing but deep trust and willingness to be with each other. But surely there's someone in the past who had a harem, right? He is confused. Well, better start writing now. Took out a book from his kimono. Naruto let his mind wander off as he once again starts to write his own version of Icha book. It's time to work, with Yakumo Kurama. He said that. Deep inside her own chamber, the woman who has the title of the fire daimyo is laying on her bed without her usual regal attire. Brown hairs spread on her back as the woman crossing her arm across her head with a frown on her face. And said frown deepen when she heard the words from one of her trusted samurais. Did I shudder, yawn? I am sorry if I offended you, Daimyo-sama, however, my mind just can't help but to turn blank after what you told me. Naruto Uzumaki, no one ever lived without hearing his name at least once. The boy was cold, calculating, power-hungry, and most of all, he hates female population without any exception. It is not an exaggeration if someone said the boy is the one who made some countries become at war with each other. Hatred is not something someone can feel toward the blonde, however. Just like how female population mysteriously fell over heel for him, it is also impossible to hate him, for some reason. I know, Yakumo said as she sat down on her bed. She, after all, also became blank the moment she heard Naruto's last requirement to have his hand in marriage. It is just mind-blowing how someone known for his disgust toward female population suddenly want to marry more than one woman. Here, her samurai said another piece of her mind. Did he perhaps want to gain more power? After all, by marrying many powerful women, he will gain access to their possession. For example, the moment Naruto marry Yakumo, he will become the master of Fire Country itself. For a few minutes, Yakumo became silent, but in the end, she shook her head in denial. There's no need for that. If he wanted to, he could just ask for those privileges with a small offer and no one will be able to reject him. His name alone has weight behind it. People from across the world race with each other to get a favor from him and would pay anything for it. A status and title are two things that these people would gladly give to Naruto if it meant they'd have the blonde's favor. Well, it might sound stupid, but Daimyo-sama, why don't you just ask him? After all, you said the two of you had a great night, right? I am sure he will tell you the reason if you asked. I guess that's true. Get me a paper and pen. Right away. Ma'am, later I apologize that our last night date had to stop because of my inability to talk after I heard what you said. I hope you can forgive me for that transgression of mine, Naruto. However, I also would like to ask you about your requirement. Am I correct to assume that you wish to marry several women despite your slight dislike toward them? With love, Yakumo Kurama. Naruto said out loud, followed by a few blinks of his eyes. The paper in his hands smell fragrant, and the writing also look very beautiful. From how complicated the kanji written in the paper alone, Naruto no Yakumo must be spent hours to write these few sentences. Though, that's slight, it seems she really want him to explain why would he want to marry several women despite his hatred toward female population. It wasn't him, it was previous Naruto, but there's simply no way he can say that toward the fire daimyo. Took out a blank paper, Naruto tapped his chin several times, musing on how he should answer Yakumo's letter. Dear Fire Daimyo, it has come to my concern that the world seems to see me as someone who hate female population. However, this is not true. I simply have fear toward those females who cannot control their own desire the moment they saw me. But, even if most females actually like this, I know some can control their desire to a few degrees. Someone like you, for example, and so, like I said before, I don't hate female population and albeit desire from women is flattering. I also want to be loved just like a normal person do. As for why I want more than one woman to be my wife, I am afraid it is just my selfish wish and no more than that. being loved is a beautiful experience, and if I could have more than one woman to love me, why not? Naruto Uzumaki. And done. Naruto whispered to no one after he finished his letter for Yakumo, hoping and praying that she would buy his answer. But then again, he's not lying. Desire is flattering and all, however, what he wants from his soulmate is more than just desire, more than just sex, no matter how pleasant the deed is. He wants love, love in its purest form, while everything else can be classified as secondary. Thinking like this, Naruto folded the paper several times nicely and put it on his desk, eyes slightly melancholy after he basically opened himself a little to someone he met once. Can one of you give this letter to Yakumo-san? Yes, sir. The folded paper was gone just like that, as if it was never there in the first place, and seeing this, Naruto let out a small sigh and put his face on his arms after he folded said arms on the table. Let's just hope the fire daimyo react positively to his letter. It would be bad if her answer is another aphrodisiac-soaked cloth toward his face. Well, not really bad, at least not for him, raped by a sexy woman after she drugged me, that's hot. Naruto muttered under his breath, so low that even the guards around him won't take notice of it even if they have sharp hearings. What, he's a normal, 15-years-old boy, it is normal for him to be a pervert, and with the strange state this world in, it is basically forcing and begging him to be a pervert. He's just going to follow the flow, that's all. Girls, quick question, where is the others? Naruto said after a few minutes of silence. The library is just too silent now that he thinks again, and despite very few came to the library he worked in back in his world, some people did come sometimes. So why does the library in this world so empty? Naruto-sama, considering your dislike toward crowd, we kicked all of the people out before you came, and knowing it is you who want to come, they did so without any complaint. Oh, so that's why he cannot even see the librarian behind their desk. Geez, but oh well, can't do anything about that, plus, no harm done at all. His guard just said kick out to make him think her being good soldier, probably. Okay then. Good job. Naruto nodded. It would be nice to have some people sitting here and there, if he can be honest. Boot. If can't. No problem. Yes, Your Highness, and may I have the pleasure to massage your legs, Your Highness? Sure. Not wasting any second, the woman donned in all black attire slipped into under the table. Her slightly tall frame makes the space slightly narrow for her, but it doesn't seem to hinder her to give massage to his legs. And feeling this, Naruto's toes twitched a little bit. It kind of tickles. Fortunately, he didn't let out a sound or any other external reaction toward the massage, even though his face probably should have turned a little pink from the ministration. Why fortunate? It because he can feel it, the jealousy and the anger in the air. Funny, but he's not going to laugh, not at all, he's just going to keep his silent and continues his writing. Yep, that's what he's going to do. He's not going to poke a hornet nest, that's for sure. Anyway, I wonder, what's the situation with the exam now? He just hopes that his friend, Hinata, is alright. Oh, and Sakura of course. She's just so much prettier than Sakura from his world. In the forest of Death Sea. Come on now, Hinata, we should just team up, we were classmates, yes? Came a trembling voice of Sakura, followed by a wince as the pain in her ankles flared for a brief second. In front of her, one Hinata Hyuga stood menacingly with Byakugan activated and palms burning with dark and powerful chakra. To Sakura and Ino, it was a bad luck, to Hinata, it was a chance. No, Makoto-san is enough for rival, I'll not let you pass this exam, Haruno. Sakura bit her bottom lip the second she heard this as her eyes turned dark and glared hard at the young woman across from her. Of course, the whole female population in the world is at war with each other when it come to one Naruto Uzumaki. Classmates or not, she and Hinata is the same as them. Each want nothing but to sweep away the others, then so be it. Tightened her gloves, Sakura straightened her posture as with a quick flare of her chakra, she healed all minor injuries on her body. She doesn't know where Ino went to, but hopefully that friend of hers is alright. It's been a day since the first exam start, after all, most of the remaining contenders is smart enough to team up or set up ambushes in the forest. Get ready to get punched, Hyuga, no, it is you who should get ready to puke blood, Haruno. Bam. And the whole clearing shook as a fist met a palm. Back with Naruto, meh, they should be alright, they were classmates, after all, they probably teamed up and sweeping away the other contestants. Naruto thought inwardly, yes, he might be a little bit biased, but he really hopes that the people he can call's friends passes the exam so they can be his guards. It might be fun, plus, it would also make it less awkward the day he accepts several hundreds of women into his private guard rank if some of his friends also going to enter said rank. Just as he thought like this, Naruto felt something tingles in the air. Eyes scanning around, Naruto see that his guards doesn't seems to sense what he felt just now. Still, what was that? Yes, he felt something, but it doesn't mean he know what is that something. Well, maybe it was just a fly flying around. His guards are professional. Each of them is more than enough to defeat a Jonin-level ninja. Sensing something amiss should be an easy pie to them, so, the fact they didn't seems to react at all, it means what he sensed is probably something harmless. A little cricket or something like that. A few meters away from Naruto's position, right on top of a bookshelves, a single standing strand of red hair can be seen, moving gently despite the lack of wind in the area. And the tip, it's pointing at Naruto himself, somewhere in the forest of death. So cute. Deep inside a cave, a woman licked her lips slyly. Behind her, red hairs move around as if alive, and deep in her eyes, Naruto can be seen, still writing his book. The woman's cheek become redder the more she's spying on him. You're so cute that I want to gobble you up, uff. A small, rather crazed laugh came out of the woman's mouth following her rambles, though, when the boy started to look around and actually gazed at her direction, she immediately cut off the connection with her hair. On her lips, her smile become wider as her cheeks become so red that it almost as red as a tomato. So perfect his face is, no wonder women in the world dare to wage wars against each other just to get his attention. A gaze from his eyes alone is enough to melt her heart. Mine. You're going to be mine. Naruto Uzumaki. For now, she's going to pass this exam. And after she did, she will become his guard, climb the rank among other guards, be someone who have his trust, and then. Licking lips noise imagining the Naruto himself bound by her true body which is her hairs struggling against the red strands without any success as she plays with his body as she please, the woman licked her lips once again. She can't wait for that day, alas, to get the ultimate treasure, she has to be patient. But then again, she's far older than she looks, a few years of wait will be a piece of cake for an immortal like her. Later so tired as the sun starting to set, Naruto spread his arms like how a cat would, and he's kinda happy when he heard some of his bones pop nicely. Pop finished, the blonde took a small glance toward the table. His book is closed, already full just a few minutes ago, however, surrounding the book itself, several plates of food and some empty bottles he told his guards to buy scattered somewhat neatly. It wasn't cleaned because he kinda want to see just how much he ate for a day and at work. With the world's state and all, he kinda need to find something to amuse himself, you know? Can one of you please give this to publishing house? Use my real name as my pen name, though? Yes sir, Naruto said as he slid his book forward, and the second he blinked, the book is already gone from his sight. His guard's speed is as impressive as ever, honestly. Tired mentally, Naruto plopped his face on the table as across the table itself, his trashes started to disappear one by one faster than his eyes can see without his order. Meh. They don't want him to lay in a pile of trash, he's grateful for it. Anyone know where Shizune is? Naruto asked toward his guards. And right after he did, one of them stepped forward to answer his question. Shizune went to the exam to keep watch just in case someone break the rule. Sir, she's also accompanied by Kat-san and her squad. Ah, Kat, it's been pretty long time since he saw her. From his knowledge, despite it was the woman who saved him the day he first came to this world, she's actually not among his guard and actually the commander of Anbu squad under the Hokage. The medics who healed him is women from his guards, though. Thank you. Why you may kiss my cheek shuddered a little. Naruto in the end succeed to said those words with a rather neutral face. And probably not expecting such reward just from answering his question, the guard turned silent for a few seconds. Nonetheless, once her mind caught what was said, she tilted her mask to a side a little, enough to free her mouth and small part of her nose. Naruto closes his eyes as a pair of pink lips descend into his cheek, smooching on it as the woman in question spent her time to enjoy her reward. Kiss word has a wide berth of meaning, after all. Nonetheless, Naruto is enjoying himself as his guard spending her time to give him the best cheek as he ever got from someone. At her womanly nice smell, it is a pleasant experience for him. None of his guards use aphrodisiac mixed perfume. From what he knows, previous Naruto banned his guards to wear those because he felt disgusted if he felt pleasant around ugly women. Rude, but good for him. Good, because it would be bad for his image if he got hard on every single time someone from his guards got too close, after all. Of course, he also felt a twinge of disappointment at that single fact too. Just a twinge though. Honest, Naruto-sama, thank you for the reward you blessed me with. I vow to protect you till my life exhausted, till my skin turn to dust, till my bones crack, and till I can't do anything but to die. Ah. Okay. The moment his guard finished kissing his cheek, she bowed so low that her forehead touching the ground, slightly shivering from joy after she kissed his cheek. She's in euphoria. Okay. Ooh. Okay what? He doesn't know what he supposedly says to someone who vowed to him with so much passion that every word she spoke got fueled by it. Publishing house shyly. The blonde shuddered as his cheeks turned red when the woman gave him a tantalizing kiss to kiss neck. His arms, trembling in embarrassment and slight hesitant, can do nothing but to clutch on the woman's shoulders, trying, and failing to push her away from him. All the while, the woman let out a small smirk on her lips, her left palm already slipped into the blonde's pants. Smack with a rather loud smacking sound. A woman seems to be in her 30s closed the book in her hands sharply while biting her bottom lip. She cannot read the book anymore, not unless she wants to ejaculate just by thinking about it alone. Oh, hell, she's actually can't help but to start thinking about it right now. After she took a sharp inhale of breath, she spoke. Now, it is a good book, but I'll ask you again for my insurance. This book, is it really written by Naruto Uzumaki-sama? The story is very engaging, and as a reader, she can't help but to delve into the story as the woman who was teasing a blonde named N who has a facing similarity to one Naruto Uzumaki in real life. It made her imagining herself as the one in that woman's shoes, and it felt great. All in all, it is a very good book, actually, bolder than that very word. But still, she still has to be careful, more so because the guard in front of him said the writer of the book is Naruto Uzumaki himself. It is kinda doubtful, with his reputation and all, but then again, she wouldn't know because she never met the boy, not even for once. Yes, it is him who wrote that book and told me to give it to you. From the tone alone, she can sense the guard across from her also didn't expect the book to be so engaging for women like them. Nonetheless, the guard seemed to be content to stay professional in her posture, not giving away anything else except for her slight hesitant tone. And here, the owner of the publishing house let out a sigh. All right then, I'll have your words that I won't be killed by Jonin ninjas the moment this book got published, cause if I do, I'll haunt you for the rest of your life. She said half-heartedly, not really meaning her words, and sensing this, the guard merely nodded in understanding. Such book could change the world's point of view toward one Naruto Uzumaki, and while some indeed might become doubtful by the writer identity of the book at first, if within a week in the book still not going down, doubt will disappear. It meant the Titan, Naruto Uzumaki is not someone untouchable like most people thought at first. It means, everyone will have a chance, but then again. Only as long they have the power to grasp that chance. 'Cause, let's just be honest here, there's no way the female population across the whole elemental nation will let a woman do as she please just because Naruto Uzumaki opened a door. The war for that opened door, it will be bloody as hell. Rivalries across the nation shall start anew, with Naruto laying on his wagon. Naruto's eyebrow twitched a little when once again, he felt that slight twinge in the air, and this time, he kinda felt it a little bit more obvious. It's like, a pair of eyes, blinked a little because the feeling disappeared as fast as it came. Naruto merely kept nomming the meat bun he told his guard to buy. Just who was that? He honestly doesn't know, and he also doesn't have any idea on how to track the owner of the eyes who was staring at him. Tell his guard? Nah. Why should he? For all intent, the owner of said eyes could be just someone who was curious about him and probably just spying without any bad intention, and no, he's not being naive about it and more like, he knows just how overprotective his guard's going to be the second he told them he felt eyes staring at him. They could change from sexy guards to rabid dogs within second, full with nothing but intention to track and kill. But still, knock knock Shizune, are you there? Knocked on his wagon 2 times, Naruto called on the woman he crushes on. And yeah, he is crushing on Shizune right now. With her sisterly warmth and kindness, she's kinda someone he really likes to be with, if he can be honest. Yes, Naruto-sama, I am here, is there something you need? The woman said with a small, happy smile after she opened the door to the wagon, bringing a waft of her nice scents to the small room within a second. She also has a small blush on her cheeks after she saw his laying on the sofa so cutely. Well, blushing, Naruto patted on the sofa beside him, I feel a little lonely, can you sit with me? Heard what he said. The smile on Shizune's lips widened so much that it actually looks kind of freaky, though of course, knowing this, she was quick to hide said smile behind her kimono sleeve. Her eyes still made an upward U in a sign of her happiness, however. Of course, Naruto-sama, it is my pleasure to give you cuddles every time you want it. Pretty close with him, Shizune know what he really wants to do behind his please sit with me words. Embarrassed because his intention was caught red-handed so quickly, Naruto's blush became redder. So much that even his ears also turning red. IIDD didn't mean th. The blonde's words stopped because Shizune was quick to move, though instead of taking her seat beside him, the woman actually lay her body right on top of him and giving his face full of her breasts press, silencing him. One of her palms is on his head, combing on his hairs while giving his head a massage, while another palm of hers already slipped into his clothes and harassing his chest with nothing but vigor. Inside its fleshy cage and forced to smell the woman's mature scent, Naruto's face becomes so red that his head letting out some steam. SSSH, you must be tired after all the writing you did, Naruto-sama. Please let this Shizune be your comfort and lull you to sleep. Right after she said this, Shizune pushed her body even more into him until he can no longer move except for a small twitch here and there. Her face on his head and inhaling his scent with a perverted smile that Naruto cannot see. Mumke, more than happy do what Shizune told him to do. Naruto gently closed his eyes and trying his best to sleep while ignoring the woman's ministration on his body. It was hard and coarse. His male member soon was quick to stand up under the kimono he's wearing. Shizune's reaction, like a female dog in heat, she dry humped him until she orgasmed several times with ragging breath, and of course, by that point, he also came several times into his pants. Sadly, he passed out after he came 4 or so times. So unfortunate, but then again, the sleep following the deed is so nice that he actually snores. Leaning the back of his waist on the side of the table of the Hokage, Naruto is humming while watching Tsunade sorting the papers of the women who passed the first exam. Yes, the first exam already finished just a few hours ago. And no, he didn't tell Tsunade about this visit, an action that actually made the woman become a blushing mess for a few minutes before in the end, she put her professional mask back on still with a patch of blush on her cheeks though. Thus, here he is, watching Tsunade putting some interesting looking women's papers to the side while putting away the rest of them in a box. Box means failure if you didn't know. Oh, they passed. Naruto said lowly under his breath when he saw 4 papers being set to the side by the Hokage. Hinata, Sakura, Ino, and of course, Makoto Uchiha. The last 2 are the women he never met face to face, and if he can be honest, they didn't disappoint. Makoto, titled one of the strongest ninjas in the world, is a beautiful woman with jet black hair and a pair of sharp, serious-looking eyes. Ino, just like Sakura and Hinata, also looks like a 19 years old of herself, and unlike Sakura who became prettier the more mature she is, Ino looks more gorgeous. Her blonde locks became much longer, and her bangs hide one of her eyes while she was smiling sultrily at the camera. She's charming, yes, though for Hinata and Sakura, it because the time was up before they can knock each other out. Rather fortunate of them, I say. Who? And here thought the 2 would actually team up with each other to take on the exam. Naruto thought inside his head right after he heard Tsunade's words. Outwardly, he merely gave a small nod of understanding. I thought they would team up. The 5th Hokage didn't say anything to respond to his words, though in her eyes, a telltale of disbelief can be seen easily. Are you kidding? That's what her eyes basically said despite her mouth keeping silent. Now, as for why she would think like that, Naruto doesn't have any idea. Anyway, Naruto, you want to start the second exam soon? Tsunade asked after calling him by name. She was one among the first who was notified the moment Naruto Uzumaki published a book with the publishing house he used housed in Konoha and all, and of course, it also meant she was one among the people who had the pleasure to read his book despite it just getting published. His very engaging book, he doesn't like an overly polite call from someone too high in power or someone close to him. That's one thing among everything she took notice of from his book, and thus, she called him by his given name with her status as a Hokage. It should be enough for her to do so. I don't think so. Let's give them a few more hours to rest before we start the next exam. Naruto said rather carefreely, though he did take notice of the Hokage loose call on him, which made him curious for like 2 or so seconds. Oh well, she probably wants to get their date fastened. That's different than 4 years ago. Is there any particular reason? Tsunade asked as she turned her face toward him, arms folded under her massive pair of busts that made them jingle hypnotically. Naturally, Naruto's eyes went to the said bosom, hypnotized for a few seconds before in the end, he shook his head and turned his gaze toward the woman's face. She looks rather distressed, probably because she thought he was glaring at her ugly breasts. Cough particularly? No. I just want the contestants to be able to use every bit of their power, that's all. It would be unfair to women who are still hurting whether from traps or ambushes if he started the next exam immediately. But at the same time, it would be unfair to those who came out unscratched if he let the time pass just like that until everyone fully healed. That's why he's giving them a few hours to rest, wounded or not, their weary minds would need to rest so they won't collapse in the next exam. Well, I am charmed once again. When Naruto's gaze returned to Tsunade's direction, the woman was licking her lips slyly, her eyes locked on him like a dog watching a bare bone. Full of desire, help came in the form of Shizune, who walked to the Hokage and slapped her across the back of her head. She no longer wants to keep silent when her mentor becomes so rude to her master. Shit. Shizune. I was just staring. It's still rude, Tsunade-sama. The Hokage merely growled at her first apprentice, who kept betraying her again and again, back when Naruto was admitted to the hospital, and now here, in her own office. Watching all of this unfold right in front of him, Naruto can't help but smile. There's a hidden chemistry between these two, they're close to each other. Shizune, Naruto called, and almost immediately, the woman's eyes went in his direction, awaiting his order. You could speed up my date with Tsunade-san, if there's nothing important that I need to do. Shizune's answer is a few seconds of silence, as a rather familiar emotion crossed her eyes right after she heard his words, but after those few seconds passed, she merely nodded obediently. She felt jealous, and yet still so obedient. Oh, Shizune. Of course, Naruto-sama, if that's what you wish. That was Shizune's reaction. Tsunade, her grin became so big, as though Christmas had come early just for her, or, just like a cat that just ate a canary. Hyuga Mansion. Slowly, Hanabi Hinata hissed in pain when her sister put a medical salve on her wounds and wrapped bandages around them rather tightly. It was just her luck, just when she almost knocked out that damn Pinkette, her blonde friend had to come and made the fight into 2-on-1. Of course, she was still winning, though, before she can make those two disqualified, the alarm that signaled the end of the first exam blared so hard. Just her bad luck, and their good luck. I am doing this as gently as possible, Oni-sama, but it's still going to be painful. There's a few poisons in your system right now. After all, none of them seems fatal, though. Great, just great. That damn Pinkette is so annoying even when she's not around, Hinata thought bitterly deep inside her mind, her fists clenched angrily. It might be painful for me, but that stupid pink girl will go through hell. The clan leader of Hyuga said darkly with a pair of narrow eyes full of killing intent. She might have been poisoned by Sakura, however, she also broke some of that woman's organs, and no matter how good she is at medical jutsu, the Pinkette will go through hellish torture while she's healing herself. It is by no means smooth sailing to heal broken organs, after all. That's good, Oni-sama. However, I suggest you keep your distance from Haruno-san in the next exam unless you got a really good chance. Your intention doing this exam, after all, is to become Naruto-san's guard. It will be bad for you and for the clan if you failed just because you're blinded by your anger toward Haruno-san. Bad because the clan would take the brunt weight of the failure along with Hinata. The moment Hinata fails, the whole elemental nation will gain the information that Hinata Hyuga, the clan leader after she killed her own father in the clan's council, failed the second test of Naruto's exam. It would be a large hit toward their clan's popularity, which equals fewer missions for them. Something that she must avoid at all costs. Sigh, I understand. Hinata said in the end after a few minutes of silence and after she let out a rather large sigh from her lips. No matter how much hatred she has for a stupid woman with pink hair, she cannot let her clan and her family get ridiculed by the public because of her blunder. Plus, Naruto likes the women around him to be strong, so she needs to be strong enough to handle her own hatred. But that banshee is still going down the second I see her make blunder. Of course, Oni-sama, of course, that's what I hope you do, after all. As for Sakura herself, she's currently inside her private room inside the hospital, treating her wounds alone and with a red cloth in her mouth. She's biting the cloth so she won't bite her tongue by accident from all of the pain she's experiencing. Her hands, which experienced many hardships, can do nothing but clutch the bedsheet as her whole body glows green, trying to fix some of the broken organs inside her body. It's a very painful procedure. Pant sweat covers the young woman's whole body, sticking her red kippah against her tall body as she tries to take a few minutes of a breather before she can continue. Stupid Hinata, who the hell broke people's organs in an exam where fatal injuries are banned? Goo, if she weren't the second apprentice of legendary Tsunade Senju, Sakura knows that she'd be dead by now. Yes, her injuries are just that fatal. In the second exam, she's so going to beat up that woman so bad that she'll beg her to stop. Hern. A muffled scream of pain came out of her gagged mouth when another organ of hers was fully repaired. Drool leaked from the side of her lips. So painful. If only she could get some other medics to help. But, alas, other Jonin-level medics also participate in the Naruto exam and are probably busy helping themselves. The free ones would be Chunin medics and below, but, with her injuries, they won't be able to help much. Hell, even her own mentor, Tsunade, is also busy doing her own part in the exam. Alas, she cannot lean toward anyone except herself for now. But it will be worth it, for you, Naruto-kun. This kind of pain is nothing for me, as long as I can stand beside you when everything I'll keep going. NR. Let's just focus on healing herself for now. With Naruto alright, since our business here is finished, I'll excuse myself, Tsunade-san. Near the exit door of the Hokage office, Naruto said politely with Shizune standing behind him. Across from him, Tsunade still has that cat who ate the canary grin on her face after he told his secretary to fasten the date so Tsunade can take him out on a date. She looks very happy. Yes, please be careful on your way out, Naruto. The mature woman said with a suggesting wink, one that made Naruto nod shyly, complete with a cute blush on his cheeks. Of course, then I'll see you a few days from now on, Tsunade-san. With that as his final sentence, Naruto turned around and walked away from the room after Shizune opened the door for him. Behind him, Tsunade screamed in joy after she closed the door. Today is the happiest day in her life. Shizune, you look a little glum, is everything alright? Walking in the corridor of the Hokage building, Naruto asked the woman with worry in his tone, fully noticing her rather upset-looking face. He doesn't like seeing Shizune upset. I am alright, Naruto-sama, Iju. Before she could finish her words, a guard appeared right in front of Naruto, kneeling down with two hands raised, said hands are holding a piece of paper. Seeing this, Naruto let out a small smile, thank you. Gratefully took the letter from his guard's hands, Naruto began to read it, his smile slowly becomes wider as he does so. It's a letter from Yakumo Kurama. From what she wrote, she now has understood and accepted his term to get his hand in marriage, and under all of these, she put a small note that said, please let me know when we can have another date, I'll have to present you with your ring and we also should talk about the date of our marriage. She's so impatient, Naruto thought to himself, though, the smile on his lips shows his real feeling toward the whole situation. He is happy, sure. The fact he's going to have a fiancé honestly confuses him, as he doesn't feel ready or worthy to have someone like that in his life, mostly the ready part. But it is still making him happy that soon, he will have someone he can call a lover and one who will love him for the rest of their life. Shizune, let's go home fast. I want to write something to Yakumo-chan. With a chirpy tone and a happy smile on his face, Naruto said that after he turned around his body. And once the woman heard his words and also took notice of the new suffix given to the fire daimyo across from him, Shizune closed her eyes for a brief second. Of course, Naruto-sama somewhat slowly, Shizune wrapped one of her arms around the blonde's waist rather intimately after she walked to his back. For a few seconds, she merely put her chin above her master's head, seemingly content with the position. Under the sleeve, her free hand is clutching so hard that it bleeds. Shizune? Waited for a flicker for the past few seconds and got nothing but silence. Naruto called the woman hesitantly. Did he do something wrong now? My apologies, Naruto-sama. I was thinking about something, but I am ready now. Are you comfortable? For the answer, Naruto merely nodded as he snuggles deeper into Shizune's embrace. A hug from her is very comfortable, there's no need to ask the question, honestly. Felt his nod, Shizune did the flicker technique as both of them disappear into a puff of smoke and left nothing but a single leaf. Later when they both arrive, Naruto was quick to go to his private desk and took out a single piece of paper to write on. Behind him, Shizune can only watch while biting her bottom lips. There's something she wants to ask, but she's afraid, really afraid to ask the question. Guard, please give this to Yakumo-san. It only took Naruto a minute to finish the letter, and he immediately called his guard to pass on said letter to the fire daimyo. With a blink, a guard came and went, leaving Naruto all alone with Shizune once again. The blonde himself, once he felt that the letter was no longer in his hand, turned his full attention to Shizune, who has her face etched in an unreadable expression. Shizune? The woman doesn't seem to hear him even though she was standing right in front of him. Seeing this, Naruto can't help but worry even more about her condition. The woman who's taken care of him since he arrived with nothing but kindness. Shi-chan? Called her once again, this time with a cute call and a small tug on her sleeve. Naruto in the end got a reaction from Shizune, who locked her eyes right into his when she heard him call her with a call unfamiliar to her ears. Having her full attention, Naruto gave the woman a small smile full of worries. You alright? Please tell me if something is bothering you. Again, for a few minutes, Shizune kept her silence, not doing anything but staring at him with uncertainty in her eyes. Being the patient person he is, Naruto waits for her. Naruto-sama, I am just wondering, you accepted Yakumo-san as your fiancé. But, if I may ask, is there a place in your heart to also accept me if I propose to you? Is there a place in your heart to accept someone as ugly as me as your wife? I mean, it won't surprise me if you say no, but this lowly assistant of yours really have to ask. It was almost like a beg in his eyes. Shizune, a woman he knows as someone very warm and kind, suddenly seems like a begging mess when she dropped to her knees and grabbed him by his shoulders, small tears in her eyes when she was talking. But it's not her fault, Naruto concluded by himself. The women, no, the kunoichi in this world are ugly by the people's standard. Men and women alike seem to think the same way when it comes to this one thing. Shizune, being a Jonin-level ninja and having a bigger reserve of chakra mean only one thing. In people's eyes, she's very ugly, not to him. Hey, come on, get up. Naruto said to the woman warmly. His hands helped the woman back on her feet and he then let himself get closer to her, close enough that she would be able to fully embrace him if she wanted to, though she merely keeps her hands on his shoulders at the moment. And here, Naruto looked up to her to look at her face, her big breasts covering a big part of his sight though. Normally, he would blush at the sight of a woman's breasts being so close to his face, but considering Shizune's current situation, he forced down his urge to do such a thing. Naruto-sama, firstly, you can just call me Naruto when we're all alone, okay? I don't mind it. Still watching him, Shizune nodded with a telltale of happiness in her eyes. At the same time, her hands that were on his shoulders began to creep down to his waist. For a small second, her hands tugged him closer, one that Naruto does without any complaint as his body and Shizune's now being pressed to each other. He can no longer see her face, though, and if he tried to look up in his current position, his face would only press against Shizune's breast lower part. A salivating offer. Alas, with the situation he can only return her embrace and press his face against her stomach area under her breasts, all the while, his arms on her waist trembling from how much his urge screaming at him to look up and dug his face against those two watermelons atop his head. Secondly, you don't need to be afraid, you're the first woman I slept with, you know? I accept you, Shizune, your positive side, your flaws, and you for being you, and the day you propose to me, I will accept that as well. This time, Naruto cannot do anything as the emotional Shizune grabbed him and pulled his face against her cleavage after she took onto her knees once again. The pair of large breasts easily swallowed his face, his head, and his neck, and with Shizune's arms wrapped around his head, Naruto was forced to smell the intoxicating scent of hers. Oh, Kami, this is so addicting, sobs Naruto, you're so kind. Chalked back down a sob, Shizune dug her face against his hair after she once again pulled him closer and tighter against her bosom, an action that made his fingers twitch for a brief second. He can't breathe. Oh, shit, mghhmm. Tried to struggle, Naruto met with nothing but an even tighter hug from Shizune, with one of her wide-sleeved arms wrapped around his head and the other one on his waist. Naruto is basically fully encompassed by her silky kimono. A very soft and pleasant hug, but with him cannot breathe in any air, he can't take any pleasure from it. Ufufu. I know you're happy that I now no longer feel uncertain, Naruto, but you don't need to jump around inside my embrace, let us just enjoy our time. The hand that was previously on his waist went to his butt and tugged him upward so he no longer can jump around with no floor to kick on. Of course, Shizune's lower kimono caught his hanging legs before he can do anything with them. Again, oh, shit, making sounds as tiring, and with Shizune's current excitement, it seems she will only treat it as him saying something positive, and thus, this time he tried to struggle by shaking his head left and right. At the same time, his hands that previously hugged Shizune now went to her breasts and grabbed both to pry them open. The softness of these breasts stunned him though, as Naruto cannot do anything but squeeze a little, and with that single action, any plan to get some air dissipated from his mind. Back in his previous world, this act of him might look like a perverted action. But here, Naruto, I know that you said that you accept all of my flaws, but to move your face so excitedly in the middle of my ugliest part and grabbing both, why you're making me feel so flattered. Lust, desire, he cannot smell it, but he can still feel it as Shizune's movement become more lustful as her breathing becomes more ragged. Of course, her grip on him also becomes much tighter than before, so much that he gains a few black spots in his sight. Is this how I am going to die? Naruto asks softly inside his mind. Inside a soft and warm embrace from a mature and very beautiful woman who's kissing the top of his crown and molesting his body with her sleeve-covered hands? It's not a bad way to die, his mind immediately concluded. And with that conclusion in his mind, Naruto's eyes closed as he lost consciousness from the lack of air. Later when Naruto came to, he felt a little groggy. But groggy or not, He still knows that he is laying on his back, tucked under a blanket, on a soft bed that he knows is not his from its smell alone, but then again, he can be wrong because this scent he's smelling probably coming from a burning aroma of incense set up somewhere inside the room. And then, he opened his eyes, it's not his room, his mind immediately concluded. His room is a room befitting of royalty, but this room he's in actually looks like a simple bedroom without any private properties, as if the owner rarely sleeps here. For a few seconds, he blinked, he feels something warm and pleasant on his groin area. Despite his body that's strangely still feeling sluggish despite he's already woke up, Naruto forced his left hand to grab the blanket covering him and threw it to the side. His eyes widened the moment he saw what was making him feel so pleasant down there, followed by his face that became red in no time. Lemon warning, it was Shizune. The woman is lying on her stomach while her beautiful face is on his groin, and from what he can see, his penis is inside her mouth, locked by those sexy lips of hers. He is naked, he just realized. Plop. Naruto, you woke up, you were sleeping so deeply inside my embrace, I never knew you would feel so secure inside my bosom, but I am really glad that you did, it makes me very happy. When Shizune saw him awake, she stopped what she was doing with a plopping sound and sat between his legs, though, her hands still not stopping and merely continues to caress every part of his body that she could reach. Unlike him, Shizune is still fully clothed. Shizu. SSSH, before Naruto can say anything, the woman was quick to move and cupped his cheek with her sleeved hand. A lone thumb of hers went to his mouth and silenced him. You don't need to say anything else, I'll take care of everything and do it as gently as possible, alright? Do what? Still with a soft thumb over his mouth, Naruto can only widen his eyes as right on top of him, Shizune used her free hand to untie the obi holding her kimono, loosening all of the silky fabric at once at the same time and showing him that underneath all of those layers, is a beautiful and sexy body of a fully trained kunoichi. Unlike what he thought at first, Shizune actually doesn't wear a bra under all of her kimono layers. Though she does wear a black panty that is currently drenched with her love juice, so drenched that some even dripped on his thighs. But still, as a healthy boy, his eyes can't help but be transfixed at the bare breasts jiggling right on top of him, hovering tantalizingly. Their pink tips poking out cutely. Naruto. When Shizune called him, Naruto's neck immediately snapped as his gaze returned to her face with cheeks aflame with embarrassment. Fortunately, or not, the sexy woman on top of him seemed to misunderstand his gaze. I know you accepted my flaws and accepted every part of me, including these large meats. Shizune let her body sway left and right, an action that made the two lumps of meat in question move hypnotically because of her movement. Naruto's eyes returned to her breasts almost immediately. But, they're still ugly and I don't want you to see them when we're doing it, so, I was wondering, would you be alright if I tie your whole body against mine and I close my kimono back? That way, it'll be dark enough that you won't be able to see my ugly body. Naruto loves to snuggle against her bosom, but usually, the ugly sight of her bare bosom is hidden under her kimono. She doesn't want him to see such ugly sight when she's riding him for all his worth. Realizing where Shizune's idea come from, Naruto opened his mouth to rebuke the fact that he only liked to snuggle against covered breasts, though he closed his lips almost instantly. She wants to tie him against her body, closed back her kimono with him still inside, and then do dirty things with him? That's, facing hot, silently, Naruto nodded, an action that makes Shizune's face aflame with red as the desire in her eyes multiplied. Alright. Let me do this first. Took out a handkerchief and a bottle of something from her sleeve. On top of him, Shizune is spraying the cloth with a raging breath, seemingly impatient. Of course, as she needs two hands to do it, his mouth now can move freely. What's that? Heard his question, Shizune let out a smile, and after she finished spraying the cloth with a mysterious chemical, she spread the cloth and slipped it into her cleavage. Maybe she was doing it with chakra, but when Shizune's two hands grabbed her own breasts and spread them, Naruto is left stunned because the wide cloth didn't fall. Actually, not only the cloth didn't fall, the black cloth actually stuck against the inner part of her breasts like a second skin. And it's wet, and smells good too. It's just a sheet so your face doesn't need to meet my skin directly, Naruto, and please be assured, it is made from a very high-class material. I bought this cloth with 3 months of my salary. T3 month. 1 million ryo. Wait, that's not what he wanted to ask. He was asking about the thing she sprayed on the cloth in question. However, before he can even say anything, Shizune already leaning down on him with her breasts being spread open. The wetness of the black cloth only gives the woman another point for sax-iness. And then, plomp asterisk, a pair of breasts descended and swallowed his head in one gulp, darkening his sight and forcing him to smell a very overpowering scent of perfume that made his body feel hotter and hotter with each second. Realizing too late that the thing she sprayed on is in fact an aphrodisiac, Naruto tried to struggle to get free. Alas, when he was busy snuggling Shizun's breasts, the woman already tied his legs behind her waist and his hands on her back with a very long scarf. MNN, you're pretty quick to get a hard on, Naruto a little bit muffled, but Naruto can still hear the words spoken by Shizun. And then, warmth, as his penis smoothly went inside Shizun's wet and warm cavern, he stopped all resistance he was doing just now, more so when another warmth covers his body as Shizun wrapped her kimono back once again. It took Shizun a few minutes before in the end, he is all snugly tied up inside her kimono and being pressed by softness from all sides. Bed on his back, layered by Shizun's clothing that literally bundled him in the softness of several layers of silk. Shizun's body is on his front, and from all of the bindings she did, their body is basically mashing with each other. The aphrodisiac he smells amplified the pleasure he feels by several times. And the darkness makes him cannot think of any other thing but the pleasure his body currently feels, mostly the pleasure he feels in his groin as Shizun's vagina's inner wall squeezes him ever gently as if impatience for the movement that is yet to come. It's warm, slimy, wet, and it'll start now, Naruto-kun. Movement. Before Naruto can even finish his lust-filled thought, the woman on top of him started to move her waist up and down after her hands embraced him over her kimono, pulling him even deeper into her flesh. Smack smack smack, there is no gentleness whatsoever in her movement, and being bound he is, Naruto can only let out a muffled pleasant grunt every time Shizun's waist meets with his. Naruto-sama, it feels so good, even though he was the one who got drugged, Naruto can't help but feel surprised by Shizun's wetness. It seemed she came several times already, and yet, smack 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 instead of stopping, the woman seems to get faster and faster in each second, so much that soon, the bed is creaking rather badly under them. Soon, Naruto feels it, the building excitement in his lower body. Having a mouthful of aphrodisiac-scented cloth on his face and very soft meat all around his head, Naruto cannot say anything to Shizun as any sound he made will only be muffled by the cloth and the breasts caging his face and head. Manually, then, with his very limited movement, Naruto's hands tied behind Shizun grabbed her back, his nails digging the woman's back in a pleasant scratch that made her start moaning in ecstasy. Fortunately for him, Shizun seemed to know what to do, as immediately, she grabbed him by his buttock and started to pound him even harder and faster than before. And soon, he came, followed by Shizun that seemed to have another ejaculation of hers. Thud. Still bound inside Shizun's kimono, Naruto blinked his eyes several times when the woman atop him fell, pressing all of her weight against him and making him cannot move at all. His groin and butt feel wet, so much wet that he knows that no woman should be able to let out that much and still be healthy. Minhyun. Shizun. This is what he wanted to say, but with the woman's breasts still on his face and some cloth getting into his mouth, the word easily became muffled. Shizun, did she pass out, somehow? Well, it won't surprise him if she does. He cannot see it, but with the feeling on his groin and butt alone, he knows that his assistant could make a small puddle with how much love juice she let out. Still, how to get free from this position? Cause even passed out, Shizun is still embracing his body very tight, and even without that, the scarf binding his legs and hands is not something he could untie by himself. It was then, he feels it, even with the body passed out, Shizun's vagina seems to realize that his penis is still inside and starts to move once again, massaging it very gently with a movement akin to breathing. It feels nice. For a minute, Naruto tried to wiggle out of the position only to get nothing. Not only that, but he also merely made himself inhale even more aphrodisiac, which makes his body feels even hotter than before. As his soft penis became erect once again, Shizun's vagina also became aware of it and started to speed up. Engen. 5 minutes later, Naruto came, and this time, his ragging breathing made him inhale more aphrodisiac, which in turn, make him erect once again. Rinse and repeat. It was not until Shizun woke up hours later that Naruto in the end got released from his pleasure cage, pale, hungry, and tired. He thought it would never end, but then again, it's facing nice, he'll try it later in the future regret. There's no regret for a good fact. Sure, he didn't expect her to come so quick and so many times that her body gave up, but in the end, her mind desired him so much that she unconsciously made her body milk him. Just as he said before, no regret for a god fact. He never knew sex would feel that good. Thanks for watching.